Hey guys, my name is Tito. I make videos on personal finance on my other channel. On this channel, I talk about other things like today, when I'll be reviewing the new Nollywood film on Netflix, Jolly Roger. One fateful night, an encounter at a police checkpoint manned by two drunk officers sets off a chain of events that turns Brume and Najite's peaceful lives upside down and leads them on a journey of greed, deception, and murder. Jolly Roger is directed by Taylur. Now, I was looking forward to seeing this movie, Jolly Roger, because it's directed by the same person who directed that movie that you guys loved so much last month, A Sunday Affair. Both films were directed by Waltbanger, Taylur, and I wanted to see if I'd find similarities between both films, or at least in the storytelling style and in the directing. And more importantly, I wanted to watch, Jolly Roger to know if the sins of A Sunday Affair could be placed more squarely at the feet of Waltbanger. But after watching both movies and after seeing Jolly Roger, it's safe to say that Waltbanger is actually a good director. He knows how to tell a good story, and the sins of A Sunday Affair I'm not personally placing at the feet of Waltbanger. I think the problems with that film are writing problems. So in my books, he's discharged and acquitted. Moving swiftly on, let's talk about the performances in this movie, Jolly Roger. Etim-Effiong. Daniel plays Brume, this husband who loses his wife to police brutality, and basically Daniel's performance was really sufficient. I like it when Daniel plays dark characters, because from when he played Folarin years ago in Giddy Up season 1, it was such a defining role. Lots of people, it took a while before they stopped seeing Daniel as an evil character, right? But he played it so well, and I think he really does it. He does it really well. Folarin was just such an iconically despicable character, and I'm just looking forward to when Daniel plays a character that I hate as much as I hated Folarin. I digress. He did a really good job in this one. I wasn't too sure, because from the beginning of the film, you're on his side. He seems like the protagonist, but as the film progresses, he seems like an antagonist, because he's not the best husband. He pretty much, because of his pride, let what happened to his wife happen to his wife. And, him taking laws into his own hands by apprehending or kidnapping these two officers and doing what he did to them, he becomes a very dark, very conflicted character, and you just don't know where to place him any longer. And I think it was all very intentional, and it was good. It was nice to see the character arc. Next, let's look at Deyemi Okanlawon's character, Dami, the best friend, who it was nice to see Deyemi in a supporting role for a change, because Deyemi usually is he's a great leading man, and usually I'm used to seeing him, when he's in a film, play the lead. But now he was, in a supporting role, and he did it really well, playing Dami, this doctor friend of the couple, who, was kind of, I don't know how Brume actually got Dami to take part in that kidnapping, because Dami was quite conflicted. I don't know what the incentive for him was. Maybe he was just trying to be a good friend. Deyemi really did, his character, Dami, really did look like he was lost, and he was just trying to find a peaceful way out of that whole situation. So Deyemi did a good job as a supporting role, or as a supporting character, right? Next, Officer Felix, played by Donga, awesome Donga. I liked his character as well. I think he was the one who had the line in the film, we can do this the Ikoyi way, or we can do this the Mushin way. I really like that line. But I like how Officer Felix and Officer Yor did that good cop, bad cop thing in the beginning of the film, whenever they stopped people to, extort them, right? But Frank did do a very good job. Frank typically, if you follow Frank on Instagram, or if you've been following his career as a comedian, and the several projects he's done, and these movies and a web series, you know that he's more, we know him more as a comedian. So it was nice to see Frank doing something different, a more dramatic role. I'm smiling because I know Frank, and he's an awesome guy. And I think he actually told me that this film was coming out. And while I was watching it, I was like, I think he mentioned this. So shout out to him. Let me talk about Toni Tones' character, Najite. This was a very different character from the characters I'm used to Toni Tones playing. Typically, Toni Tones plays a super empowered, feisty woman. But in this film, she played a very docile, very submissive wife. And it was different. It took a while for me to adjust to that. And, when several things were happening in the movie, I kept on thinking to myself that, man, if this was the Toni Tones from Brotherhood, or the Toni Tones from The Smart Money Woman, she would have these two police officers that are harassing her and her husband at the checkpoint. She would have dealt with them. So it was just interesting to see Toni Tones playing a more cool-headed, somewhat like docile, shy, and a woman that just wasn't, that seemed as if she wasn't able to speak up for herself. And it was very unfortunate, especially seeing how things turned out for her. But I think the point I'm trying to make is that it was nice, to see Toni Tones play such a different character from what I'm used to seeing her play. And finally, let me talk about Toyin Oshinaike, the awesome Toyin Oshinaike, who played Officer Ayo, the more, aggressive police officer. You guys may not, for those of you who aren't familiar with Toyin Oshinaike, he's a really good actor, first of all. You may have seen him but not noticed him in Brotherhood. He was the police officer that Falz's character went to go and meet in order to interrogate Seyi Awolowo's character. He was also in The Griot, which was one of the awesome films that we all saw that did really well on Netflix last year. He played Dimeji Latif's father in that film. Him playing Officer Ayo in this film was a demanding role, between it being slightly physical and him being the kind of despicable and just corrupt police officer that he was. He did it very well. His dynamic with Daniel Etim-Effiong and with Deyemi was also very good. He was like the central point in the entire film, if you ask me, and I really enjoyed his performance. And I think part of it is because I just think he's a really good actor generally. What I liked that this film addressed, once again, police brutality and corrupt police officers. That seems to be Daniel Etim-Effiong's thing. If you remember last year, he was in Collision Course alongside Kelechi Udegbe. This one, again, it shines a light on corrupt, police officers and police officers just violating the rights of citizens. And I like whenever a light is shone on that, because I feel like enough is not being done about that in Nigeria. So once it's exposed like this in, films and whatnot, I think it's a good thing to try and put pressure on the powers that be to make sure that our police officers are better behaved and are in line. I also liked that this was a cautionary tale on taking laws into your own hands, because as upset as Brume was at what the police officers did to him and his wife, I mean, taking laws into your own hands the way he did, kidnapping them and, planning their execution, I mean, that can't really end well for anyone. And it didn't end well for anyone at the end of the day. Some may say, some people got what they deserved at the end of the film. But at the same time, in real life, that jungle justice or that taking laws into your own hands is not necessarily, the way to go. It was also a cautionary tale in the sense of, pride and the whole dynamic of them, Brume and Najite, really being desperate to have kids. That's another thing I liked. The fact that it addressed how people do some desperate things in real life to get pregnant and they really shouldn't. And I guess this film shows that you shouldn't do certain things because of something like, having kids or because you want to please your spouse and all that. So I like that it addressed that. But the point I was trying to make initially was, pride. Yes, this film also did show how pride can really destroy lives. Because honestly, the film happened because Brume, played by Daniel Etim-Effiong, was a very proud man. Because if he was more free and more open with his wife, if he didn't let pride get in the way, particularly that night when she confesses to him that she slept with another man, he was angry naturally, but I think it's the anger plus the pride that didn't let him make wise decisions that night. Because when they were stopped by the police, that situation could have been easily solved with some cool headedness. But, even an easier way out of that would have just to have given the policemen what they wanted. But the pride that Brume was feeling at that point, even when they were outside the car and they were, manhandling his wife, he seemed to not care. He was very cold. So just the film showed that pride is terrible and you shouldn't let pride get in the way of, making good decisions and doing the right thing. And incidentally, today is Sunday, it's Sunday afternoon. That's what they talked about in church today. Pastor preached on pride and how we should be humble and, not let pride, contaminate our hearts. Moving on, another thing I liked about the film was the conflict and the tension. It was palpable, especially in the scene where there was the standoff, where Toyin Oshinaike was holding Deyemi's character and Daniel Etim-Effiong was holding Frank Donga's character, and guns were drawn and everything, and they were counting down. That standoff was tense. And even when the couple, when that night they're assaulted, how that whole scene just degenerated without just live and direct there, without them like breaking it up. That was a very tense scene as well. So the tension in this film at those particular points were very good. At other points, not so great, if I'm being honest, but those particular points, I really did like the tension. What I didn't like, this will sound weird, but what I didn't like in this film was the drooling. There was a lot of saliva in this film, and I felt like it was unnecessary. I don't know if it added anything special to the movie. Let me know if you thought all the saliva we saw in this film added anything special to the movie. Tell me in the comment section down below, but I personally found it a bit The second thing I didn't like about this film was we didn't know what Brume's main plan was. The night seemed to just be progressing for a long time, seemed to be going on, and there were points when he just leave the officers there in the living room, cuffed to the table, and that table didn't really seem that heavy. They could have lifted it up and escaped, now that I think of it. Anyway, I didn't know what Brume's plan was, and Brume would go to another room and go and cry, and he'd come back. Why did everything take so long? Once he captured them and, beat them up a bit, he should have told them what their offense was, fed them the dog, and then put them out of their misery. But the thing just seemed to be going on, and I didn't know why. In conclusion, Jolly Roger was a good one. It was different in terms of the story. It was different in terms of the characters that these actors were playing. So yeah, this film had a bit of variety, and I actually enjoyed it. One more thing that I liked that I didn't mention earlier was how they incorporated animation into the film at one point. I was hoping they do more with that, and now looking back, I'm not even sure I understand why they even put the animation in there in the first place, but it was nice to see that animation element in the film. And going forward, hope it will be nice to see other films incorporating animation here and there just to switch things up. But anyway, guys, let me know what you thought about Jolly Roger, in the comment section down below. Did you enjoy it? Was it giving? Did you like the performances? What did you think about Jolly Roger? Down in the comment section below. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this review, please like it by clicking on the like button just underneath the video, and subscribe to my channel as well by clicking on the black subscribe button. On this channel, I don't just do Nollywood movie reviews, I also talk about relationships. To check out some of my relationship videos, you can click the card in the corner of the screen. I have some new relationship content that's coming out this month of March. One has already dropped. Check that out. The link to it will be in the description box below, or like I said, the card in the corner of the screen. The Oscars the Academy Awards is tonight, in a few hours. I look forward to it. Are you guys going to watch the Oscars? By the time this comes out, it would have been over and done with. Fingers crossed for Top Gun Maverick. That was my favorite film of last year. It's up for, I think, 6 awards. I really hope it wins Best Picture. Anyway, I'm digressing. If you watched the Academy Awards, let me know what you thought about some of the winners down in the comment section down below. But I'm looking forward to it because it'll be happening tonight. Like I said, thank you guys so much for watching for the final time. I will catch you real soon in my next review. Take care.